Hello, this is another Top 5 Unknowns. This is 5 scary mystery cases that are creepy. Back of my neck hurts. Alright, I had to stop. I was doing Dusty Roads too much, so I had to stop. If you've seen the last video that I did, which I don't know when you'll see it, I just couldn't stop saying, hard times, baby. And Dusty Roads, American Dream. Let's do the video. I can't stop once I start.
The paranormal is the source of some of the strangest mysterious cases. The real backstories behind these paranormal cases only add to the scares. Number 5. The Bragg Road Ghost Light, or the Light of Saratoga, is a mysterious, unexplained phenomenon that may be paranormal. Bragg Road is a dirt road in eastern Texas. The road is roughly 8 miles long, 2 cars wide, and cuts through the big thicket connecting Bragg to Saratoga. Trees line the road on either side, reaching over to create an almost tunnel-like environment. It can be creepy, especially at night. The Ghost Road wasn't always a road. In the early 1900s, a railway company cut through the big thicket and laid a track to connect the two towns during the oil boom. Once business faded, the company pulled up the tracks, leaving the dirt road behind. It was while the road was still a train line that the dark origin of the Bragg Road Ghost Light took place. According to local legends, a train accident cost the life of a railroad employee. Now his ghost haunts the place where he lost his life, carrying a lantern as he walks along the long-gone train track. Today, the road isn't often traveled, except for those searching for the ghost light. People traveling along the lonely road at night report seeing a strange light hovering in the distance. It behaves erratically, sometimes slipping in and out from behind the trees, and it occasionally disappears for no reason. No matter how fast the traveler is going, it never seems to get closer or further away, and the light has never been identified. The Light of Saratoga isn't the only so-called spook light, but it is one of the few without a proven explanation. Other than the paranormal, explanations have included gases from nearby swamps or the lights of other cars. As the road is so long and straight, the headlights of those cars can be seen for miles. While Bragg Road itself is mostly unused, it's attached to a nearby highway. The possible mundane explanation hasn't stopped those wanting to experience the paranormal from traveling to Bragg Road to catch a glimpse of the mysterious lights for themselves. Number 4. Alton,
I was hoping he'd show a picture.
Illinois is home to over 25,000 living people, and according to legend, a large number of spirits of people who once lived there. The city lies on the Mississippi River.
In 2002, me and a bunch of people I work with and my sister, we went down there and took a ghost tour. And there's an author down there, Taylor. I don't remember. I think his last name's Taylor. But he writes a lot of ghost books. Went down there, met him, and then I don't think he was on the tour. But we did a ghost tour. It was a creepy town. And then we went back to our hotel. And my friend and I were in one room on different beds. And we were talking about the thing. We were like, ah, man, this is... I don't know, it's kind of bust. Didn't see anything, you know, it was just kind of a whatever thing. And then right then, something fell in the bathroom, and the door slammed shut, the bathroom door slammed shut, and we looked at each other, and we were like, all right, well, good night then, I guess. And it was the most difficult sleep I've ever had in my life. I was not the only one. He was freaked out too.
And is built on limestone bedrock, both of which are said to give spirits the energy needed to survive. Of all the places in this real-life ghost town, McPike Mansion is allegedly the most haunted. The McPike Mansion was built in 1869 by Henry Guest McPike. McPike was a larger-than-life figure in the local community. He was a skilled businessman, focusing primarily on real estate, but also owning a grape vineyard. The grapes from his yard were sought after by winemakers. McPike also helped local politicians become successful. His mansion was built on a 15-acre property, complete with groves of fruit trees. Henry lived out the rest of his life there with his wife, son, and daughter-in-law. When he passed away, his spirit didn't leave the house. Other members of the McPike family would stay in residence long after they passed away. McPike's mother had never lived in the house, but apparently her spirit was drawn to the place.
I don't remember
Stop
that.
juicing. Green juices.
I don't remember seeing that mansion. Not saying we didn't, but we took our tour on this bus and we drove around at night. So I may have seen it, I just don't remember.
Her spirit was drawn to the place, where her son made a home for himself. McPike's wife, son, and daughter-in-law also stayed to keep Henry company. Some servants have also become attached to the building. An attendant named Sarah is the most famous of those. Visitors have reported smelling the strong scent of lilacs in the attic, a perfume that's been associated with Sarah. Other than the scent, the presence of the ghosts have been felt in other ways. Some, particularly McPike's daughter-in-law, have been known to tug on clothes and hair. Others appear as shadowy figures or orbs in photographs. While most of the ghosts and residents at the McPike mansion appear to be friendly, the same cannot be said for the rest of Alton. Alton itself has a long history. It would play an important role in the Underground Railroad, helping escaped enslaved people travel north. The anti-slavery stance brought a lot of violence to the town. During the Civil War, thousands of soldiers were held as prisoners of war, and hundreds passed away during the smallpox epidemic that took place during the war. McPike Mansion would not have seen that devastation, having been built in the years afterward, but the rest of Alton did. Whether due to limestone rock, the Mississippi River capturing energy, or something else, the spirits of Alton have decided to stay.
We call
Number
it
3.
Alton.
Fairy Plantation is allegedly the home to countless lost spirits that have been haunting the location for centuries. The old site is located in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and was named after a ferry service that began operating in 1642. It lies beside the Lynnhaven River, which was the scene of many tragedies, including ferry disasters and witch trials. A possible Native American burial ground is also believed to contribute to the lively paranormal activity at Fairy Plantation.
Not good.
It was only a few decades after the area was occupied by colonists that the first ghost is said to have originated. Like many other towns in America, witch hunts swept through the area. In 1698, a woman named Grace Sherwood was accused of witchcraft. A few years later, she was tried for her supposed crime. The courthouse where she was tried was once located on Fairy Plantation. She underwent the practice of ducking, where she was tossed into the Lynnhaven River to confirm whether she was a witch or not. If the water accepted her, it would prove her innocence. Grace managed to get free from her bindings, which proved her guilty of witchcraft. She was sentenced to 7 years in prison. Ever since, Grace is said to have haunted the location of her traumatic ordeal. But she's far from the only ghost at Fairy Plantation. An 1830s brick house known as the Fairy Plantation House is home to most of the hauntings. Among the ghosts are former residents who've continued to make the building home long after they passed. Thomas Williamson was the son of a former owner who once painted Fairy Plantation House from memory. He can often be seen on the second-floor landing still painting. Another ghost frequently seen by visitors is that of an African-American man named Henry. On Saturday evenings, Henry can be seen walking up from the basement, kneeling in front of a wall, and busying himself with chores. After a few minutes, he stands and heads back down the stairs. Renovation work revealed an old fireplace behind the wall where Henry kneels. Henry's name was discovered during EVP sessions, where he revealed he lived his whole life at Fairy Plantation House, even after the Civil War. Other ghosts are said to include victims of a ferry disaster that took place on January 1st, 1811, at Cape Henry. Today, Fairy Plantation House welcomes visitors who want to catch a glimpse of the paranormal and witness the mysterious goings-on at the location for themselves. Number 2. Most people will have only heard of the title of Thane of Cawdor through the Shakespeare play Macbeth. While the titular character never actually held the title, The real-life home to the Thanes of Cawdor has a dark, paranormal story worthy of a Shakespeare play. Cawdor Castle lies in Nairn in the Scottish Highlands. Built in the 15th century, it's been the site of political intrigue and personal tragedy over the centuries. Today, it's believed to be the home of more than one ghost. The most famous of these ghosts is the Blue Lady, who's said to wander around the castle without any hands. She's been seen by many visitors wearing an elegant blue velvet dress and looking sorrowful. Who this famous ghost actually is subject to debate. Possibly the most tragic figure associated with the castle is Muriel Campbell, who's one of the people suspected of being the Blue Lady. The original owners of Cawdor Castle were the Calders, the Calders being the old name for Cawdor. That came to an end with Thane William Calders in the early 1500s. He passed away before his only child, Muriel, was even born. To make matters worse for the Calders, Muriel's mother was a member of a rival clan who had been married to William to try to mend relations. That meant there was a lot of contention surrounding who would be the heir to the Cawdor Castle before she came of age. Muriel would eventually marry into the powerful Campbell family, with her husband Sir John Campbell taking over ownership of the castle. Whether or not the marriage was anything other than a political allegiance has been debated, and it may explain why the supposed ghost of Muriel looks so lonely. Others claim the ghost is likely that of a different Miss Campbell. According to witnesses, the paranormal entity is said to linger in the drawing room, looking up at a portrait of Sir John Campbell, Baron Cawdor. This was a different member of the Campbell clan who lived in the 1700s. Many believe the Blue Lady looks like his wife, Isabella Carolyn Howard. Some also believe that the Baron also haunts the halls of Cawdor Castle. Others believe that the handless ghost is actually the victim in another legend surrounding the castle. According to the story, the ghost is that of the daughter of another Thane of Cawdor, who fell in love with a man from a rival clan. Her father locked her in her room, but the daughter attempted to escape. When the escape attempt was discovered, the Thane removed her hands in a fit of rage. Whichever, if any story is the true explanation behind the alleged ghosts of Cawdor Castle, the location has definitely seen enough disturbing true stories to be a haunted location. Number 1. In 2011, workers at a utility company made a mysterious discovery in Lancashire, England. A buried cottage had been uncovered, with some disturbing objects found inside. Researchers believed the cottage belonged to a family of weavers, but the skeleton of a cat in a sealed room indicated the family may have been trying to keep out evil spirits. The cottage lay in the shadow of Pendle Hill. Pendle Hill is known as one of the most haunted locations in history, with a disturbing backstory involving 2 families of witches. 10 people accused of witchcraft lost their lives after a witch hunt in 1612, and their ghosts are still said to haunt the hill. The family were well known as witches in the area. Elizabeth Southerns was the matriarch of the family, and known as Demdike. She would use the word witch to describe herself, but that may have simply meant that she saw herself as a healer or a wise woman. Her daughter and grandchildren adopted her practices. It wasn't until 1612 that this became an issue. In March of that year, Demdike's daughter Alison was on the road to Trodden Forest when she came across 2 peddlers. She requested metal pens from the elder of the peddlers. He refused for some reason, and Alison cursed him. They went their separate ways, but moments later, the peddler fell and suffered a stroke. Alison believed she was responsible for the curse and tried to undo what she had done. She felt guilty and begged for forgiveness, which meant she confessed to witchcraft. It triggered a witch hunt around the Pendle Hill area. Alison, her mother, grandmother, and brother were all accused of being witches. Alison and Demdike both confessed, though Demdike passed away in prison before the trial. Others were also accused, either by Alison herself or because they were seen at a meeting held by Alison's mother, who was trying to defend her own name. A total of 12 people were accused. Only 1 was found not guilty, and the others lost their lives. According to legend, the witches still lurk on the hill. Visitors have reported seeing shadow figures and even shadow dogs. One of Alison's younger sisters claimed her mother could put her soul into the body of a dog named Ball. One group of ghost hunters was conducting a Ouija board session on the hill when a tooth fell onto the board. Nobody can explain where it had come from, but testing determined it had come from about a 40-year-old person. It isn't only the witches that haunt Pendle Hill, and it seems the area was able to retain a number of spirits, which would explain why the Weaver family from the uncovered cottage were doing what they could to keep them at bay. Thank you guys.
It's hard to imagine there's somebody showing up with a sack of teeth, just tossing them on, and I mean Michael Jordan from a distance, right onto a Ouija board. I don't think that's happening. I also don't believe that the teeth are falling, unless they were under, one of those teeth trees that grows teeth and just it falls down, just like a stork tree. That's where babies are grown, right? Isn't that how it works? Pretty sure. There's giraffe trees. There's sandwich trees. Kool-Aid trees. Pancakes trees. Car trees. Let's see. Internet trees. Money trees. Like and subscribe trees.